trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Put my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Up and get us pulling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules. In this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In the heart of the struggle, we dare to dream. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track.
Another Queen Ahmadiyyah production.
Haze on the corner, they talking real loud. Spreading on light, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Put my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Rock and get us pulling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules. In this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In the heart of the struggle, we dare to dream. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. Haze on the corner, they talking real loud. Spreading on light, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Put my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Rock and get us pulling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules. In this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In the heart of the struggle, we dare.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur, and this is your morning wake-up call. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time Queen Goddess goes live. Okay, so now with that all being said, hold on, I'm pulling up some stuff. Multitasking. Okay, so now with that all being said, let's see who's in here. Let's see who's in here. All right. Above all that drama. All right, let's get into it. Desmond, Lillian X is in the virtual building. Edward. All right, Byron B. All right, Rod Breeze. All right, let's get into it. Everybody hit that like button. I see you, Bookhorse DC. Carlton is here. All right, listen, let me tell you all, I was up at like 4 o'clock this morning, a little bit after 4, because my friend who lives in Trinidad called me, or she texted me and said that Maduro had been captured by the Trump administration, and she's uncertain as to what this means for Trinidad, who are the neighbors of Venezuela. Okay, and as I told you all before, reportedly, allegedly, some of those boats that were blown to smithereens and the people deceased were supposedly some of the fishermen from Trinidad. I do believe. Trump's never shown us any proof or verification that anybody was bringing illegal substances, okay, from Venezuela to the United States. Okay. So I find it all very interesting. Now we're going to get into it. The press conference is going to be starting. The press conference is going to be starting shortly. Okay. Hold on just a second. It's going to be starting in just a moment at 11 o'clock. Now, with that all being said, let me pull up my TikTok for those of you who missed it. And also, we're going to look at some of the stuff that Trump's been saying because I told you all that Trump wants their oil and their rare earth minerals. Okay, he already told us before. Okay, there's a resurfaced video of him before any of this stuff started, and he was already letting us know that in fact he wants their oil. Okay, basically said the U.S. deserves it because they took it from us. That's what Trump says. Okay, this is y'all's president. Kidnapping a whole president and his wife is dirty work. Okay, don't y'all think? Kidnapping this man and his wife is crazy work. It's diabolical. And that's what it is. It's a kidnapping. It's not a capture because Venezuela wasn't in a war with us. They were the ones that Trump and his administration had declared war on them, basically. Okay? So no, this isn't a capture. This is the whole kidnapping, as far as I'm concerned. But I'm sure Congress still isn't going to do anything about Trump's nefariousness. So let's get into it. Shakur. This is breaking news. They have just reported that the Venezuelan president Nicolas Maduro and his wife have been captured by the United States. Let's get into it. In a Truth Social post, Trump says the United States of America has successfully carried out a large-scale strike against Venezuela and its leader, President Nicolas Maduro, who has been, along with his wife, captured and flown out of the country. This operation was done in conjunction with U.S. law enforcement. Details to follow. There will be a news conference today at 11 a.m. at Mar-a-Lago. Thanks for your attention to this matter. President Donald J. Trump. Please pay attention. This is all nefarious. Venezuela's Vice President Delcy Rodriguez has come out and demanded proof of life. She says they have no idea where President Nicolas Maduro or First Lady Celia Flores are, and she wants them to show proof or give them some sort of verification that the two of them are still living. Please pay attention. They say there are still lots of unknowns about the morning strikes, what damages were done to the military infrastructure hit, and what casualties there are. Venezuela's defense minister, Vladimir Padrino, has said that the government is compiling information about the dead and injured people and alleged that the strikes hit civilian areas. Okay, that's just a darn shame. He also added that Venezuela will resist the presence of foreign troops. Okay, this is all going to get real ugly. And the thing for me is none of this was approved by Congress. There was never at any time authorization for Congress for the airstrikes on the boats, land, or anywhere else, or any of this that's going on. And it's just amazing to me that Congress has not done anything about it. Just a bunch of complaints, but nobody really doing anything to stop Trump and his administration from carrying out these things, saying that basically, he's been telling us for months that these people are bringing illegal substances into the United States, which I never really believed that was his motivation for going there. Because if you ask me, illegal substances coming to the United States by sea would likely be coming from Colombia. That's where the route is. And also the biggest suppliers of the illegal substance that starts with an F and ends with an L that we have a problem with in this country tends to be mostly produced in Mexico. Okay, so there's that. So I just find it all very interesting. Now, the Venezuelan government seems to think that this was all about an oil grab, and I'm inclined to agree. But let's continue. The defense minister, Vladimir Padrino Lopez, also said he's basically calling for everybody to get together and form a united front of resistance against the worst aggression against Venezuela in their history. Please pay attention. He says that the Venezuelan government is following Maduro's orders, deploying all armed forces. He says they've attacked us, but they will not subdue us. I'll definitely be tuned in for the press conference this morning to hear what Trump has to say about all of this. Please pay attention. All right, so you all heard that. At the end of the day, it's all nefarious, okay? It is all nefarious. With that being said, Dynamic Quality says, Queen, he was captured. He wasn't kidnapped. Okay, that's how you view it. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. And thank you, beloved. I appreciate you for your insight into the topic and your contribution to the channel. Okay, with that being said, let's have a brief word from my sponsor. Okay, at 12 Tribes. Likes up, everyone. Please don't forget to like and share. Also, double check to make sure you're still subscribed to the Queen's channel, especially if you have not been receiving your notifications.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
Okay, so don't forget you can purchase 12 Tribes Hair Oil at Etsy.com. Just look for Lisa Crafts. You can also find it at Walmart.com. Okay, with that all being said, you can also, don't forget she also sells beard oil. Okay, so now, U.S. war alert. Venezuela's defense minister confirmed alive and is calling for a war against America. Honey, this is all about to get real ugly. Okay, I want y'all to pay attention. Let me share my screen.
Buenos días, pueblo heroico de Venezuela, soldados y soldadas de la patria, hijos e hijas de Bolívar. La Fuerza Armada Nacional Bolivariana informa al mundo entero que en la madrugada de hoy, 3 de enero, el pueblo venezolano ha sido objeto de la más criminal agresión militar por parte del gobierno de los Estados Unidos de Norteamérica. Hasta el momento, la barbarie de las fuerzas invasoras.
Okay, y'all heard it. Y'all heard it. Okay. Now, for those of you who didn't understand what he was saying, he's basically saying that the defense minister confirmed alive and there's about to be a war, okay, thanks to Trump, who came there to snatch up all their oil. It's about to go down. All right, I find it all interesting. Leon said, Leon said he doesn't want to be kidnapped or captured, okay? Emmanuel said the president was on assignment for this very reason. Yes, exactly. But I told you all this, so we shouldn't be surprised. I told you all that Trump wanted to take the credit for capturing or for taking down Maduro and taking him out of office. Now, I thought that Maduro was going to get away. I thought that he would flee. Okay, I can't believe that the U.S. caught him. That's crazy. Okay, so anyway, Dynamic Quality says I was saying that he was not captured, he was kidnapped. Trump playing word games. Capture implies he was already in custody and escaped. Honey, you are absolutely brilliant. You're absolutely right. Okay, and my apologies for misreading, or actually, you had a typo. That's what it was. But I'm glad you clarified that. Okay, yeah, absolutely. Trump knows what he's doing. He does play word games. He loves to play with semantics, okay, and paint all these fictitious narratives. But see, this is nothing new because, like I told you all and have been telling you all, Trump wants their oil, their natural resources, their rare earth minerals, and also he wants credit for taking down Maduro so they can have a regime change. You know, this is all part of his bragging rights. We're never going to hear the end of this. I promise you. We're never going to hear the end of it, beloveds. Okay, and Dynamic Quality, thank you for your insight to the topic and also for your contribution to the channel. Peace, love, and blessings. I appreciate you. And you're absolutely right. Capture implies that he was already in custody and escaped. Okay? Or that we were already at war at them, okay, and he was captured behind enemy lines or something of the sort. But Venezuela was not at war with us. But guess what? Now they are, thanks to Trump. Now they absolutely are, thanks to Trump. Okay, so that all being said, this press conference is about to start in a few seconds. Oh, here we go. It is now 11 o'clock, so I'm just going to go straight to it.
Se escuchan helicópteros, son las 1:58 de la mañana. Están atacando el fuerte Fiuna.
Ay, mira, mamá huevo, te me estoy explotando. Mamá huevo. Mamá huevo. Uf. Ay, mamá huevo. Erga, se metieron los de la USA, papi. Los que tienen 14 años son más grandes que Kenia. Ay. Mamá huevo, se me va a ver un incendio, pero una vaina. Oye. Ahí oye algo, está pasando.
Marica, se prendió en candela, weón.
Viene otro.
We're going to the White House, beloved. Give me just a second. Okay, we're going to watch this from the White House. They haven't started yet. So that's right. That crazy bitch Eric says, stop inflicting violence on innocent people. Exactly. Okay, exactly. Now, while we're sitting here waiting, why don't we talk about Will Smith being sued by the violinist? Let's get into it. And Jada is also being sued by a whole nother person. They're not in the same lawsuit. It's two different ones. Will Smith sued by violinist Brian King. Okay, Brian King Joseph for sexual harassment. The actor musician is facing a lawsuit alleging wrongful termination and retaliation. So Brian King Joseph, a professional violinist, has filed an sexual harassment complaint against Will Smith and his company. The lawsuit details an alleged incident in which Joseph discovered evidence of an sexual threat of violence in his hotel room while working on Smith's based on a true story 2025 tour. Now, a lawyer for Smith called the allegations false, baseless, and reckless. Okay. So with that all being said, the complaint claims that Smith was deliberately grooming and priming Mr. Joseph for further sexual exploitation after inviting Joseph to join his global tour. Now, it details an alleged traumatic series of events in March of 2025 amid Smith's tour, in which Joseph claims that he discovered that someone had entered his Las Vegas hotel room with no signs of forced entry. Evidence of an sexual threat of violence allegedly included a handwritten note reading, "Brian, I'll be back. Just us," with a drawn heart and signed Stone F, as well as wipes, a beer bottle, a red backpack, a bottle of HIV medication with another individual's name, an earring, and hospital discharge paperwork belonging to a person unbeknownst to Joseph. Do you all hear this? Did y'all hear this? I find this all very interesting. But let's continue. So goes on to say that Joseph alleges he feared that an unknown individual would soon return to his room to engage in sexual acts with him. Now, Mr. Joseph's allegations concerning my client are false, baseless, and reckless. This is what Alan B. Grodsky, an attorney for Will Smith, told People in a statement on January the 1st, saying they are categorically denied, and we will use all legal means available to address these claims and to ensure that the truth is brought to light. Now, following Joseph's reporting of the incident to hotel staff, a local non-emergency police line, and Smith's management team, the complaint alleges that a member of the tour management team later shamed Joseph and told him that he was being terminated. Another violinist allegedly was hired to assume the same position on the tour per the complaint. Now, the incident caused Joseph severe emotional distress, economic loss, reputational harm, and other damages, including PTSD and other mental illness, as a result of the termination. So Joseph, a Washington, D.C. native, competed on America's Got Talent season 13, which was in 2018, placing as a top 3 finalist. In December of 2024, the musician posted a video of him playing violin on stage to Instagram, indicating in his caption that it was the first night of his touring with Will Smith. Now, the new complaint follows a $3 million lawsuit filed on December the 1st from former associate Bilal Salam, aka Brother Bilal, against the Oscar winner's wife, Jada Pinkett Smith, claiming that she verbally threatened him. The husband and wife duo are really mad and say it's a lot of crap. That's what an entertainment source told People, calling Salam an opportunistic person out to exploit them. Well, they can call him what they want, but the bottom line is this man has the receipts. Okay. This man has the receipts because I saw the receipts. Okay. When he did an interview with Tasha K, this is his second interview with her, and he definitely has receipts. All right. So Jada and Will, yeah, it's not looking good for either of you, if you ask me. Okay. So, anywho, let's go to this report. They still haven't started yet. Okay, so let's go to this report on Twitter. Okay, the U.S. has always tried to get Venezuela for their resources. This goes back to the late 90s and early 2000s under one of their former presidents. He was going to nationalize their oil resources. Anything nefarious, Trump's involved in it. 9 times out of 10, in my opinion. Okay?
Is this soon? Well, to that end, James Comer had this investigation into the Biden auto pen, into Biden's cognitive abilities. Is this an investigation you all can pursue potentially next year into President Trump's health?
Well, I think it's something that James Comer needs to answer for. Listen, at the end of the day, he spent all of this time obsessed. He's still obsessed with Joe Biden, right? Meanwhile, the president has failed to deliver on every single promise that he made to make life more affordable. Seems to be checked out as it relates to, the day-to-day engaging in the people's business. And yet we hear nothing but crickets from James Comer. So I listen, I think that Robert Garcia and the oversight Democrats have done a very good job, particularly as it relates to the Epstein files, of pushing the Comer committee to actually be forced into doing the right thing. And so I don't believe that this is something that should wait until the American people give Democrats the majority in the aftermath of the November election later on this year. I think that it's something that James Comer, if he's actually being honest about Congress being a separate and co-equal branch of government, we don't work for Donald Trump. We don't work for J.D. Vance. We don't work for their billionaire donors. We work for the American people. And Congress, in its role as a separate and co-equal branch of government, should make sure that the administration comes clean as it relates to the president's ability to continue to do the job at the level that the American people deserve.
Okay, so Trump definitely has medical issues. Okay, he does have health issues. I've been telling you all that for months. And, as far as I'm concerned, the Peruvian shaman have pretty much verified it. Okay, they verified it. They also are the ones who said that Maduro was going to be taken out of power. Remember that? Okay, and here we are. Now, Dynamic Quality says, Queen, there are some Venezuelans who are happy about this, though. Yeah, they are. And what does that have to do with me? I'm in the United States. You think I care or give a rat's arse about what the Venezuelans are happy about? They didn't want Maduro in there because they said he basically took the election. Okay, he is a bad man. That's not my point. My point is Trump did all of this without having authorization from Congress. He's just on a whole campaign to do whatever he wants to do. He's a dictator. Okay. I don't give a damn about the Venezuelans being excited or happy about this. We're not in Venezuela. We're in the United States, where now, because of Trump's ignorance, now because of his foolishness, we're going to be at war. Okay, we're going to be at war with Venezuela. And who is going to join Venezuela in this war? I'm sorry, I have several questions. And when there is a war, that gravely affects the United States economy and everything else. Okay, so yeah, that's all I'm saying. At the end of the day, yes, some of them are absolutely happy. And I told you all, remember, I told you all months ago, back in September, or no, it was in October, definitely. It was in October, because remember, I told you all that the lady who won the Nobel Peace Prize dedicated it to Trump because she doesn't like Maduro and wanted him out of office. And basically, was glad at what Trump was doing. So I know there's some Venezuelans who are happy about this, but what I'm not happy about is that the Venezuelan government is reporting that civilians were killed. Okay? That civilians were killed. All right. And the fact that Trump should not be allowed to do what he wants to do. This is the same man who said that Kamala was going to be a president of war, that she would start wars, okay, if she were in office. He's the one that accused Biden of being a president of war, the Democrats of being the party of war. But then he changes the name of his Secretary of Defense to the Secretary of War, okay, and the Department of Defense to the Department of War. Okay, so clearly he's all about war. That's all I'm saying, honey. I'm not here to praise Trump for anything he's doing, because as far as I'm concerned, he's always going to be nefarious. Okay, he's always going to be nefarious. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I'll be glad when this press conference starts. But since the press conference hasn't started, let's talk a little bit more about Will and Jada Smith, because here's the thing. I watched the entirety of the interview that Tasha K conducted with Belial, Brother Belial, that is. He said that he was living over in Colombia. He literally had left the States and was living outside of the US, okay, I guess for his own protection. But he says that one day he and his driver arrived at his apartment. When they pulled up, there was a bunch of people outside that he didn't recognize, and there was people with masks on, okay, and quite frankly, he told the driver to keep going. Okay, I would have too. All right. So basically, he said Jada had threatened him. She had come up to him and threatened him. They were at some event and he was there. I forget what it was, but Jada walked right up to him, finger in his face, according to him, and told him that basically, if he didn't stop telling her business, he was going to either catch a bullet to the head or something. But he specifically said that she threatened to have him catch a bullet to the head and a beat down. I think that's what it was. So, Jada took it back to the ghetto where she's clearly from. Now, y'all know Jada is ghetto. Let us not act like she's not the same character from Set It Off. Y'all know she is. She already told us that she used to sell illegal substances back in the day. She actually told a story about how she almost got murked by a guy who robbed her of her chain, her money, and all of that. And the only reason he didn't take her out is because she was pretty. She told that story. Okay. So that all being said, I believe what this man said. He also talked about how they had done some things. Now, here's the thing. He said that there were some things done to Brashear Gray from Empire. Now, this is all alleged. I'm just telling you what Brother Belial said. There were some things done to Brashear Gray from Empire. And we all know how he's on this internet crashing out all the time and doing these crazy, explicit, and actually suggestive and just disgusting, bothersome, hard to watch videos. Like, why is he posting these things? There's something mentally wrong with him, in my opinion. And Belial says that Will Smith and Diddy did things to this young man. Now, that's what he says. Okay, I'm just telling you. So Nia says Bashir is messed up, sad. Well, if the things that he's saying are true, it's not sad. It should be exposed. See, here's the thing, Black people. If we want Epstein's clients exposed, we should want all people who do nefarious things such as that exposed. Okay? Now, I don't know what exactly Will Smith and Jada do behind closed doors, but I know the rumors we've heard, which doesn't mean that any of it's true, of course. But nonetheless, Brother Belial has not filed a lawsuit for no reason, okay, in my opinion. And also, if you remember, when this first came out, when he first accused Will Smith of having relations with Dwayne Martin, Tisha Campbell's ex-husband, well, Jada went on the Breakfast Club. I mean, she didn't walk, she ran to the Breakfast Club. Did she not? When's the last time we saw her or Will in an interview specifically on the Breakfast Club? But she comes out of the woodwork, crawls out with her bald head, okay, and goes on the Breakfast Club and says that they're going to sue. That was 2 years ago. They've not sued anyone. Okay? That's what they haven't done. If someone said these things about me and I knew they were all lies and BS, baby, you will be hit with the biggest lawsuit for libel, defamation, and slander. Okay, you will be hit. Why haven't they sued this man? This man claims they're not going to sue because they know that he has the proof and the receipts. And he does, because he gave the receipts to Tasha K. He gave her all this paperwork with, he had people verify that he was on the set the day that he claims he saw Will and Dwayne doing all the stuff. There's someone that told Tasha K, another person who was actually on set reached out and told Tasha K. So she basically was verifying what he said. At the end of the day, listen, this is all really this seems to me that a lot of people are just going to be exposed if they have been doing things that pertain to being a whole PDF file. Okay, because the things that happened to Brashear, he was supposedly like 16 years old, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so I'm going to sit around and wait until we get the truth out here. And also, Brother Bilal gave Tasha K some paperwork. He said that if anything should ever happen to him, that he wanted her to have that paperwork and release it, and some disc. There's like 7 discs with video footage on it. Okay, with video footage on it. And, he also said that Tyrese was one of the celebrities on these videos. Okay? But he said that these videos he wants them distributed to Tasha K, and he named a few other people if anything should happen to him. All right, I just want y'all to pay attention to it because this is all just a whole hot mess. Okay, looks like they still haven't started yet. What is taking so long? They can't wake Trump up? So Sister said, Queen dropping the real news. Thank you, beloved. I appreciate you. What is really taking them so long? Darlene said, bald head. No, you didn't, Queen. Left my A off. Yeah, she is. And isn't that why I'm going to always call her that, beloved? Because for one, that's someone calling her bald head, which she clearly has, is what got her to get Will to slap the hell out of Chris Rock. Okay? Because Will was sitting there laughing along with everyone else until he looked over at Jada and saw her rolling her eyes. Okay? That's all that was. Dynamic Quality said Trump is trying to come up with more lies, allegedly. Yeah, that's what's taking so long. Trump, hurry and get your arse out of here, okay? And make the story make sense, because I really want to hear this. And I want to wait and sit back and see what the hell Congress is going to do, because this was all done without any sort of authorization. Okay, period. And for those of you who said in the chat that presidents have always done this kind of stuff, that they went and got Saddam Hussein and Obama this and that. Yeah, well, here's the thing. Obama captured Osama bin Laden because they claimed that Osama bin Laden was the one who orchestrated the terroristic attacks for 9/11. So that was justified, right? Okay, I'm sorry, but isn't that the case? And what with Trump out here, Trump was not showing any proof. He's not showing it. All these people dead, all these people whose boats were blown to smithereens, the survivors who were clinging to the wreckage only for them to be taken out under the order of Pete Hegseth, which he denies, and I don't believe anything he or Trump or Stephen Miller says. Okay? This is a whole nother story at the end of the day. Hold on, beloveds. Still has not started. Okay, so let's go to a video of Trump talking about their oil. Okay, and how the U.S. deserves it, basically. Okay, here we go.
The blockade, not going to let anybody going through that shouldn't be going through. You remember they took all of our energy rights. They took all of our oil from not that long ago, and we want it back. But they took it. They illegally took it. It's a blockade. Not going to let it.
Okay, y'all heard what Trump said. He said they illegally took it. So Trump wants, this is his reparations, okay? This is payback. I find it all interesting, but hold on. Here's another clip.
How about we're buying oil from Venezuela? When I left, Venezuela was ready to collapse. We would have taken it over. We would have gotten all that oil. It would have been right next door. How about we're buying oil from?
Okay, y'all heard that? That lets you know what his motive was. That lets you know what his motivation was. And this is usually the U.S.'s motivations when they start wars. But listen to this. You know how Trump has been spewing all of this hate? I want you all to take a listen to this video. A little girl took her own life because of hate that Trump spewed and his MAGA minions.
An 11-year-old girl in Texas has died. She took her own life, a sixth grader, because of relentless bullying by her classmates about her getting deported. They constantly bullied her about her family being picked up by ICE, and the intensity was too much for this 11-year-old child to bear. She spent 5 days in the hospital before passing away. This is a horrible tragedy. And the reason it happened to begin with was because her classmates were parroting things that their parents are saying to them. I'm going to ask again, where is the humanity? Where's the decency? Where's the empathy? Where's the kindness for other people? I am so profoundly sorry for this family who lost their daughter.
Thanks, Julio.
It's primarily an issue for the
walkout. Edmundo Gonzalez said something. He was the opposition candidate in the last election in Venezuela that it's widely believed that Maduro stole. And Edmundo Gonzalez reposted Maria Corina Machado's message. She's the opposition leader in Venezuela, although she's not in Venezuela right now. And he said, Venezuelans, these are decisive hours. You know, we are ready for the big operation of reconstruction of our nation. That's what Edmundo Gonzalez said. Thank you, Law 1999, who says, how long does it take to start the announcement? Look, I mean, you can see the press is there, but in the big scheme of things, as these things go, sometimes they start late, like very late. So this, if it started right now, that would not be that late for a Trump appearance. I mean, look, we covered Biden appearances, and a lot of those were late too. So, but given that the White House is live with their feed and this feed is live, it's got to be any time now. But it'll start when he decides to come out. Maybe they're making some last minute adjustments to what he's going to say, or maybe he's consulting with his advisors on what he should say. Thanks, Dodger Blue, Illuminati, Eris Kalar, Jennifer Taylor, Scoots Magoots. Top Buzz. This is the tea room at Mar-a-Lago.
Just so you guys know, those mics are hot. Why don't we turn them off?
Wall Street Journal Shelby Holiday says the operation to capture Maduro was carried out by the Army's elite Delta Force in the 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment known as the Night Stalkers. That's from the Wall Street Journal. Oh, I just saw a new report here. ABC News is reporting, Catherine Falders from ABC News reports, Nicolas Maduro is expected to arrive at the U.S. military base in Guantanamo Bay before being transferred to an FBI plane en route to New York. How about that? Guantanamo Bay is a U.S. naval station on the southeastern coast of Cuba. So again, ABC News reporting, Maduro is expected to arrive at the U.S. military base in Guantanamo Bay before being transferred to an FBI plane en route to New York. He was charged in the Southern District of New York. That's, I think, why he's going to New York. Thank you, Alex MUC and Nat Dog and Sarina.
Okay, so since they haven't started yet, I don't know what the holdup is. Since they have not started yet, let's go. Let's go to what people are actually saying. Let me see here. Yeah, let's go to a few clips. Lights up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. Okay, here we go. Let's see what the folk are saying about Trump. And C-Stan says Venezuela is a come-up plan for Trump's pockets. Yes, it is, beloved. You already know. Okay, and thank you for your insight into the topic and your contribution to the channel. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings.
Invaded Venezuela and kidnapped their president this morning. Right? Maduro, the president of Venezuela, is being transported back to the United States to face charges. Delta Force reportedly captured him without any American casualties, but...
I'm sorry, did he just say that this man was kidnapped? That's exactly what I'm saying. This man was kidnapped, not captured.
There are reports of Venezuelan casualties. The U.S. also appears to have conducted several airstrikes across the nation, reportedly including blowing up Hugo Chavez's tomb. All while Trump didn't seek congressional approval for the invasion of Venezuela, which makes this an illegal war, nor did he tell the American public why we need to wage this war, which makes this an illegitimate war. Currently, Venezuela's vice president is in charge of the nation, but the opposition says that they're ready to take control, which has led the country down a dangerous path that could result in civil war. And the world's reaction, it's been all over the place. Brazil and Colombia, they oppose it, but Ukraine appears to support it. Russia called the invasion an act of armed aggression. The EU said they stand with the Venezuelan people and called for a solution to respect the international law and the UN Charter. Right in the through line here, it's not hard to see. American opposition to Russia's invasion of Ukraine and the expected Chinese invasion of Taiwan, it's based on the rules-based international order. An order that says invading another country to take their resources and or dispose of their government is illegal. So you have people asking, how can the US oppose either invasion when it's waging a war that's also illegal at home and abroad? What leg does it have to stand on? And when Venezuelan refugees begin flooding our southern border again, will Trump welcome them with open arms because he's the one that destabilized their home again? But for now, follow to stay in the loop. The U.S. invaded Venezuela and kidnapped their president this morning. Right? Maduro, the president of Venezuela.
So clearly you all can see the Venezuelans are celebrating, some of them anyway. Okay, as is to be expected, because Maduro, in my opinion, is exactly like Trump. I don't see any difference. Do you? Trump tried to steal an election in 2020, and when he couldn't successfully do so, he sent his minions to the Capitol, where they created havoc and mayhem and violence. And when they were charged for their crimes and sent to prison, well, he pardoned them. I'm sorry, he may be actually worse than Maduro, if you ask me, but let's continue.
Have you spoken to Donald Trump about what's happened in Venezuela?
No, I haven't, and it's obviously a fast-moving situation, and we need to establish all the facts. What I can say is that the UK was not involved in any way in this operation, and as you'd expect, we're focusing on British nationals in Venezuela and working very closely with our embassy. And so I will want to talk to the president, I will want to talk to allies, but at the moment, I think we need to establish the facts. I think President Trump is doing a press conference later, so hopefully more information will come out then.
What is clear, though, which the White House has said, is that America carried out strikes on Venezuela and captured their leader, Maduro. Some politicians in this country have already condemned that. Do you?
Well, I want to establish the facts first. I want to speak to President Trump. I want to speak to allies. As I say, I can be absolutely clear that we were not involved in that. And as you know, I always say and believe we should all uphold international law.
Prime Minister, have you spoken to Donald Trump about what's happened in Venezuela?
No, I haven't.
All right, let's go to the next clip. Honey, Trump is nefarious at the end of the day. This is like, it just feels like this country is burning to the ground and everyone's just standing there watching. And some people are actually holding fire hoses in their hands, but yet they watch it burn to the ground. That would be Congress, okay, and the Democrats. What are y'all doing? Okay, are y'all okay? Find it interesting.
A victory speech, and there's one part from his victory speech that I feel is especially relevant today.
But we had no wars. They said, he will start a war. I'm not going to start a war. I'm going to stop wars.
He said no wars, and his fans loved it. Trump has been crystal clear. No war, no sending American troops to foreign war. Let that man cook. I believe we'll find true mastery in the art of the deal. Come tomorrow, my faith is in God. My trust is in Trump. Even Trump himself said, I'm especially proud to be the first president in decades who has started no new wars. Hey, we bombed Venezuela. No one's ever done that before. And this guy is bragging about how we bombed Venezuela. Also, Iran's president said that the country is in full-scale war with the U.S., Israel, and Europe. Realize we don't have to declare war on someone else. They can declare war on us.
Mm-hmm.
Although one could argue that some of our activities there would be like a declaration of war. At least that's how their president perceives it. In fact, in the year of our Lord 2025, the United States, and by that I mean the Trump administration, has bombed Iran, Yemen, Syria, Iraq, Afghanistan, Somalia, Venezuela, and Nigeria. The no war guy did that. You know, it might have been a clue. You know,
and you know what's so funny about that? About all of those countries he just named? Their number was the number 8. 8 different countries. And Trump said that he had stopped 8 wars in 8 months. Are y'all paying attention? I find it all so nefarious.
Might have given us some sort of hint or preview that this is how things were going to go down. When President Trump decided that it shouldn't be called the Department of Defense anymore, that it should be changed back to Department of War. And we're in the business of war. The no war guy. So all those MAGAs who are bragging about how he didn't start wars, you're all pro-war now, right? Mm-hmm. You're all like, go team, go, bomb them, who cares about the repercussions? That's you, right? I'm assuming that's you now. So obviously,
yeah, I definitely find it all interesting. All interesting. Okay, they still haven't started yet. Trump, what in the hell is taking you so long, sir? Let's continue.
Safety is at risk, and my team has advised me to stay put, do not travel to North Carolina without security, armed security. That's how bad it is. I mean, who knew that just going after the truth would ruffle so many feathers, right? Let me read to you what me and the team put together. So, because I'm not trying to get emotional and crying on these internet and end up being a meme. I'm just so angry, pissed off, and it hurts so bad because they do this to people all of the time. And it's not going to make me stop, but I have to move strategically from now on. Okay, so we put together this page so that y'all can support me to help keep me safe. And basically, I'll put the website on the screen, but basically, so it's going to be AneliaSutton.com/sunlight. So Operation Sunlight is in full effect. Y'all ain't stopping. Y'all ain't slowing nobody down. And I'm still coming out here doing my thing. But let me read. It just makes me so angry that I have to do this. But Anelia Sutton is a marked woman for simply holding officials accountable to the law. Anelia needs executive armed security to maintain her safety while she applies pressure in the courtroom and in Congress. She works to expose corrupt networks and their web of lies with sunlight. Darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. That's an MLK quote. Advocacy is sunlight, and sunlight is the best disinfectant for abuse and corruption. Here's how you can help Anelia. Number 1, wear purple, signifying or symbolizing royalty, and yellow, symbolizing sunlight. 2, use hashtag stand with Anelia and hashtag law revolution, because we ain't going nowhere. And 3, donate to this operation. Okay, the donation page is AneliaSutton.com/sunlight. And 4, watch the live streams by following @Anelia Sutton on all social platforms. And 5, spread this operation like peanut butter. So yeah, it has come to that. My personal safety is at risk. I could not make the trip that I wanted to make because I need to hire an executive armed security team.
It's getting real. And who do you all think is responsible for that? Why this woman's being threatened? Okay, please pay attention. Hold on. Okay, let me go to this clip here. I'm going to this clip that I just saw on X. Okay, looks like a military official speaking. Maybe she's giving us information about what happened.
Of course, the countries, Cuba, Venezuela, and Nicaragua, with Russia relationships. Why this region matters with all of its rich resources and rare earth elements. We've got the lithium triangle, which is needed for technology today. 60% of the world's lithium is in the lithium triangle: Argentina, Bolivia, Chile. We just have the largest oil reserves, light sweet crude, discovered off of Guyana over a year ago. You have Venezuela's resources as well, with oil, copper, gold. We have the Amazon, lungs of the world. We have the 31% of the world's fresh water in this region too. I mean, it's just off the charts. We have a lot to do. This region matters. It has a lot to do with national security, and we need to step up our game.
Wow, Marco Rubio just said that Maduro will face justice in the U.S. courts. So that officially means that a foreign president can be held accountable for crimes in this country, but our own president cannot. Wow, Marco Rubio just said that Maduro will face justice.
You all, I was just sitting here running my mouth, and you all didn't hear a damn thing that I said. I was going in, okay? I was literally Sinky prophetic bastard says, yes, beautiful queen. Thank you, beloved. I appreciate your kind words. Honey, I was going in. Okay, so now with that all being said, let me go back to what I was saying. If I can find it. Okay, here we go. Okay, sorry, beloveds. I forgot I muted myself. Okay, so the reason why Venezuela is under attack, U.S. Southern Command Chief General Laura Richardson just said the quiet part out loud. Okay, that's the lady you just saw talking. Now, the U.S. focus in Latin America isn't democracy. It's controlling oil, lithium, gold, and rare earth minerals. Venezuela is the largest with the largest oil reserves and key strategic resources, is the main target. Okay, there you have it. That's what it's all about. And I told you all that from day one. Okay, a money grab for Trump and the US, basically Trump. Now, this is what Secretary Marco Rubio says. Maduro is not the president of Venezuela, and his regime is not the legitimate government. Maduro is the head of the Cartel de los Soles, a narco-terror organization which has taken possession of a country, and he is under indictment for pushing rugs in the United States. Okay, well, here's the thing. I don't think he was pushing rugs in the United States. Okay, that's what I don't think. Okay, I just don't think so. I think Trump's full of crap. Now, with that all being said, let me stop the share for a minute. I'm going to check and see They still have not started yet. What in the world, Trump? Does he think we have all day? Okay. Mel said Trump wants to run Venezuela. Yeah, he wants to run the world. Okay, make no mistake. If he was allowed to, he would absolutely do it. He would absolutely do it. Hold on, beloveds. Hold on. Okay, I was trying to see if there was anything else about him posted recently. Anywho, let me let you all hear this video that I reposted where they were talking about black folk. Okay. Hold on. He's live. Oh, okay, great. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
In the heart of Caracas to bring outlaw dictator Nicolas Maduro to justice. This was one of the most stunning, effective, and powerful displays of American military might and competence in American history. And if you think about it, we've done some other good ones like the attack on Soleimani, the attack on al-Baghdadi, and the obliteration and decimation of the Iran nuclear sites just recently in an operation known as Midnight Hammer, all perfectly executed and done. No nation in the world could achieve what America achieved yesterday, or frankly, in just a short period of time. All Venezuelan military capacities were rendered powerless as the men and women of our military, working with U.S. law enforcement, successfully captured Maduro in the dead of night. It was dark. The lights of Caracas were largely turned off due to a certain expertise that we have. It was dark and it was deadly. But captured along with his wife, Celia Flores, both of whom now face American justice. Maduro and Flores have been indicted in the Southern District of New York, it's Jay Clayton, for their campaign of deadly narco-terrorism against the United States and its citizens. I want to thank the men and women of our military who achieved such an extraordinary success overnight with breathtaking speed, power, precision, and competence. You rarely see anything like it. You've seen some raids in this country that didn't go so well. They were an embarrassment. If you look back to Afghanistan, or if you look back to the Jimmy Carter days, they were different days. We're a respected country again, like never before. These highly trained warriors operating in collaboration with U.S. law enforcement caught them in a very ready position. They were waiting for us. They knew we had many ships out in the sea. We're just sort of waiting. They knew we were coming. So they were in what's called a ready position, but they were completely overwhelmed and very quickly incapacitated. If you would have seen what I saw last night, you would have been very impressed. I'm not sure that you'll ever get to see it, but it was an incredible thing to see.
What would be an incredible thing to see is for some foreign leader to have his people come and capture Trump's cars. Okay? That would be incredible to see. I'd love it. But let's continue.
Not a single American service member was killed, and not a single piece of American equipment was lost. We had many helicopters, many planes, many people involved in that fight. But think of that, not one piece of military equipment was lost, not one service member was more important.
Like I told you all, we're never going to hear the end of his bragging about this. Didn't I tell you all this is what he wanted so he can take the credit for bringing Maduro down? Okay, Metro Man says, does he have asthma? Why is he breathing like that? Honey, I'm so glad you asked. And thank you for your insight to the topic and your contribution. Okay, I appreciate you, C-Stan. I appreciate you, beloved. Okay, as well. Now, with that all being said, here's the thing. Quite frankly, Trump is not in good health. That's likely why he's breathing like that. He's just not in good health. The Peruvian shaman, along with myself, already told you all. Trump's on his way up out of here. I'm pretty sure. Okay, I told y'all he's not going to be here for the whole 3 years that's left. Nope. He's not. It's not happening.
Importantly killed. The United States military is the strongest and most fearsome military on the planet by far. With capabilities and skills our enemies can scarcely begin to imagine. We have the best equipment anywhere in the world.
I'm not even trying to be funny, but it almost sounds like Trump is having a mini stroke at this point. Do you all hear how slurred his speech is? It seems like he's having some type of medical episode right at this moment. Does anyone notice? And by anyone, I mean Marco Rubio and the people that are there listening to him, not us.
There's no equipment like what we have. And you see that even if you just look at the boats, we've knocked out 97% of the drugs coming in by sea. 90%. Each boat kills on average, 25,000 people. We knocked out 97%. And those drugs mostly come from a place called Venezuela. We're going to run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition. So we don't want to be involved with having somebody else get in, and we have the same situation that we had for the last long period of years. So we are going to run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition. And it has to be judicious.
Hell no. Do you all hear this? Do you all hear this? This man said they're going to be running the country until they can do a transition. So let us go over here and help ourselves so all of the oil and whatever else we can steal, that's what Trump's about to do. Do y'all hear this? This is all nefarious, but let's continue.
Because that's what we're all about. We want peace, liberty, and justice for the great people of Venezuela. And that includes many from Venezuela that are now living in the United States and want to go back to their country. It's their homeland. We can't take a chance that somebody else takes over Venezuela that doesn't have the good of the Venezuelan people in mind. We've had decades of that. We're not going to let that happen. We're there now, and what people don't understand, but they understand as I say this, we're there now, but we're going to stay until such time as the proper transition can take place. So we're going to stay until such time as we're going to run it, essentially, until such time as a proper transition can take place. As everyone knows, the oil business in Venezuela has been a bust, a total bust, for a long period of time. They were pumping almost nothing by comparison to what they could have been pumping and what could have taken place. We're going to have our very large United States oil companies, the biggest anywhere in the world, go in, spend billions of dollars, fix the badly broken infrastructure, the oil infrastructure, and start making money for the country. And we are ready to stage a second and much larger attack if we need to do so. So we were prepared to do a second wave if we needed to do so. We actually assumed that a second wave would be necessary, but now it's probably not. The first wave, if you'd like to call it that, the first attack was so successful, we probably don't have to do a second, but we're prepared to do a second wave, a much bigger wave, actually. This was pinpoint, but we have a much bigger wave that probably won't have to do. This partnership of Venezuela with the United States of America, a country that everybody wants to be involved with because of what we were able to do and accomplish, will make the people of Venezuela rich, independent, and safe. And it will also make the many, many people from Venezuela that are living in the United States extremely happy. They suffered. They suffered. So much was taken from them. They're not going to suffer anymore. The illegitimate dictator Maduro was the kingpin of a vast criminal network responsible for trafficking colossal amounts of deadly and illicit drugs into the United States. As alleged in the indictment, he personally oversaw the vicious cartel known as Cartel de las Solas.
Trump is a kingpin himself, okay? As far as I'm concerned, he runs this country like the mafia, like I told you all.
Which flooded our nation with lethal poison, responsible for the deaths of countless Americans, the many, many Americans, hundreds of thousands over the years of Americans died because of him. Maduro and his wife will soon face the full might of American justice and stand trial on American soil. Right now, they're on a ship. They'll be heading to ultimately New York, and then a decision will be made, I assume, between New York and Miami or Florida. But we have people where the overwhelming evidence of their crimes will be presented in a court of law. And I've seen it. I've seen what we have. It's both horrible and breathtaking that something like this could have been allowed to take place. For many years after his term as president of Venezuela expired, Maduro remained in power and waged a ceaseless campaign of violence, terror, and subversion against the United States of America, threatening not only our people, but the stability of the entire region. And you all saw it. In addition to trafficking gigantic amounts of illegal drugs that inflicted untold suffering and human destruction all over the country, all over, in particular, the United States, Maduro sent savage and murderous gangs, including the bloodthirsty prison gang, Tren de Aragua, to terrorize American communities nationwide. And he did indeed. They were in Colorado. They took over apartment complexes. They cut the fingers off people if they called police. They were brutal, but they're not so brutal now. And I just have to congratulate our military, Pete and everybody, and our National Guard, because the job that they've done, whether it's in Washington, D.C., where we have a totally safe city, where it was one of the most unsafe cities anywhere in the world, frankly.
C-SPAN said he's a walking felon talking about justice. Okay, absolutely. It's a whole oxymoron. He needs to sit down somewhere. 34 times convicted, but he's talking about somebody being a criminal.
And now we have no crime in Washington, D.C. We haven't had a killing.
And thank you for your insight into the topic, beloved, and your contribution to the channel. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings.
Had the terrorist attack a few weeks ago. A little bit of a different kind of a threat, but we haven't had a killing in a long period of time, 6-7 months. We used to have two, on average, 2 a week in Washington, our capital. We don't have that anymore. The restaurants are opening. Everyone's happy. They're going, they're walking their daughters, they're walking their children, their wives. They walk to restaurants. Restaurants are opening all over Washington, D.C. So I want to thank the National Guard. I want to thank our military, and I want to thank law enforcement. Been amazing. And they should do it with more cities. We're doing it, as you know, and we're doing it in Memphis, Tennessee right now, and crime is down. We've just sort of started a few weeks ago, but crime is down now 77%. And the governor of Louisiana called, great person, and he wanted us to help him, as you know, in a certain very nice part of Louisiana, and we have done that. And it was a rough rough section, and we have crime down. I understand it's down to almost nothing already after 2.5 weeks. New Orleans, it's down to almost nothing. And we've only been there for 2.5 weeks. Can't imagine why governors wouldn't want us to help. We also helped, as you know, in Chicago, and crime went down a little bit there. We did a very small help because we had no working ability with the governor. The governor was a disaster and the mayor was a disaster, but it knocked down crime. But we're pulling out of there. When they need us, we'll know. You'll know. You'll be writing about it. And likewise, Los Angeles, where we saved Los Angeles early on, where the head of the police department made a statement that if the federal government didn't come in, we would have lost Los Angeles. That's long after the fires. That's when they had the riots in Los Angeles. We did a great job. Got no credit for it whatsoever, but that's okay. It doesn't matter. We don't need the credit. But we'll be pulling out when they need us. They'll call, or we'll go back if we have to. We'll go back. But we did a great job in various cities. But the place that we're very proud of is Washington, D.C., because it's our nation's capital. We took it from being a crime-ridden mess to being one of the safest cities in the country. But the gangs that they sent raped, tortured, and murdered American women and children. They were in all of the cities I mentioned, Tren de Aragua. And they were sent by Maduro to terrorize our people. And now Maduro will never again be able to threaten an American citizen or anybody from Venezuela. There will no longer be threats. For years, I've highlighted the stories of those innocent Americans whose lives were so heartlessly robbed by this Venezuelan terrorist organization. Really one of the worst. One of the worst. They say the worst. Americans like 12-year-old Jocelyn Nungari from Houston. Beautiful Jocelyn Nungari. What happened to her? They, as you know, they kidnapped, assaulted, and murdered by Tren de Aragua animals. They murdered Jocelyn and left her dead under the bridge. There was a bridge that will never be the same to so many people after seeing what happened. As I've said many times, the Maduro regime emptied out their prisons, sent their worst and most violent monsters into the United States to steal American lives. And they came from mental institutions and insane asylums. They came from prisons and jails. The reason I say both, they sound similar. Actually, prisons a little bit more hostile, a little bit tougher. A mental institution isn't as tough as an insane asylum, but we got them both. They sent from their mental institutions. They sent from their jails, prisons. They were drug dealers. They were drug kingpins. They sent everybody bad into the United States, but no longer. And we have now a border where nobody gets through. In addition, Venezuela unilaterally seized and stole American oil, American assets, and American platforms, costing us billions and billions of dollars. They did this a while ago, but we never had a president that did anything about it. They took all of our property. It was our property. We built it. And we never had a president that decided to do anything about it. Instead, they fought wars that were 10,000 miles away. We built Venezuela oil industry with American talent, drive, and skill, and the socialist regime stole it from us during those previous administrations, and they stole it through force. This constituted one of the largest thefts of American property in the history of our country. Considered the largest theft of property in the history of our country. Massive oil infrastructure was taken like we were babies, so we didn't do anything about it. I would have done something about it. America will never allow foreign powers to rob our people or drive us back into and out of our own hemisphere. That's what they did. Furthermore, under the now deposed dictator Maduro, Venezuela was increasingly hosting foreign adversaries in our region and acquiring menacing offensive weapons that could threaten U.S. interests and lives. And they used those weapons last night. Potentially in league with the cartels operating along our border.
Okay, I want you all to pay attention. He's talking about what weapons they used last night. Shouldn't they have been using weapons to defend themselves? Here's Trump just told a whole lie. Okay, he's talking about the biggest theft in U.S. history. Well, the biggest theft, and this is by a foreign government, okay? Largest theft by the U.S. in the U.S. by a foreign power is widely considered to be the systemic state-sponsored theft of U.S. intellectual property, IP, and trade secrets by the Chinese government, which results in estimated annual losses of hundreds of billions of dollars. The exact total value is difficult to calculate, with estimates ranging from $225 billion to over $600 billion annually, leading officials to call it possibly the greatest transfer of wealth in history. Okay? They call it, they say this theft is not a single conventional heist, but a continuous, multifaceted campaign involving a range of methods. Okay? Such as cyber espionage, human espionage, coercion and insider threats, forced technology transfer, and all of this, they say, is done by China. So I'm sorry, but Trump is lying again, but let's continue.
All of these actions were in gross violation of the core principles of American foreign policy, dating back more than 2 centuries, and not anymore. All the way back, it dated to the Monroe Doctrines. And the Monroe Doctrine is a big deal, but we've superseded it by a lot, by a real lot. They now call it the Monroe Document. I don't know. It's Monroe Doctrine. We sort of forgot about it. It was very important, but we forgot about it. We don't forget about it anymore. Under our new national security strategy, American dominance in the Western Hemisphere will never be questioned again. Won't happen. So just in concluding, for decades, other administrations have neglected or even contributed to these growing security threats in the Western Hemisphere. Under the Trump administration, we are reasserting American power in a very powerful way in our home region. And our home region is very different than it was.
Okay, I'm sorry. Have you all heard enough? DJ Big Six said Trump sounds inebriated. He certainly does. Have you all heard enough? Okay, because I clearly have. He's starting to ramble. Okay, so anyway, listen to this. This is the moment that Donald Trump unleashed anarchy. Trump's invasion of Ukraine and capture of its president marked the end of the West as we know it, warns World Affairs, okay, editor Sam Kiley. So America's Chinook aircraft and Apache gunship escorts clattered through the night sky over Caracas, okay, which was splashed orange with explosions as missiles attacked military sites across the country. A few hours later, Donald Trump announced that Venezuela's president, Nicolas Maduro, and his wife had been captured and flown out of their own country. High fives, no doubt, in the Oval Office, and more praise poems for Trump from his hench people, like Peter Hegseth, the Secretary of War, who puts more effort into public pull-ups than he does operational security, let alone strategic thought. Now, what no one in the White House can see is that this invasion, this apparent political decapitation, this violation of international law is strategically mad. Outside the White House and Magaland, the only cheering will be in the Kremlin and in Beijing. In NATO, there will be horror. But one can be sure that the supine groveling that has characterized the behavior of NATO's leadership towards Trump and Hegseth will absolutely continue. So doing otherwise would be to acknowledge that Donald Trump has swung America first from being a friend, then to being an unreliable ally. And now in the dawn of 2026, Trump's America is a threat. Okay? Trump's America is a threat. I hate that they call it Trump's America, but anywho, he said that he would attack Venezuela's mainland, and he has done just that. His claim to be knocking over a narco-terrorist state that has exported vast quantities of opiates into the U.S. and killed hundreds of thousands of its citizens is nonsense and a whole load of BS. Opiates get into the U.S. from Mexico, not Venezuela. Didn't I tell y'all this? Okay, didn't I tell y'all this? I want y'all to pay attention. Okay, I want y'all to pay attention because, like Soul Sister said, everything that's happening right now, I already told you all this. Okay, y'all see this? Opiates getting to the U.S. from Mexico, not Venezuela. So this was all BS from the get-go, like I told y'all. Trump is so full of BS, but let's continue. So as a premise for the regime change and invasion, it is as false as the claims that Saddam Hussein were making a nuclear weapon. The invasion of that nation set off decades of pain, murder, terror, and mayhem, and gave birth to ISIS. Okay, it also tore at the fabric of Western democracies as some ripped up ethics and their own laws to hunt down alleged terrorists. Now that Trump has attacked a neighbor without any international support, he has aped the behavior of his great hero and friend, Vladimir Putin. He has also, like Putin, politicized the military and intelligence services, okay, tried to shatter judicial independence and feather the nest of select oligarchs. Now, the Russian president invaded Ukraine in 2014. He falsely claimed that Russian speakers were being oppressed in the country, just like Trump said the Christians were being oppressed over in Nigeria, so he could send people over there, have the troops over there to bomb them. Okay, the Kremlin wants to take over all of its neighbor, and Trump is supporting its efforts to carve out the 20% it has already captured. Now, in his New Year's speech, China's leader, Xi Jinping, renewed threats against Taiwan, saying the reunification of our motherland, a trend of the times, is unstoppable. And China held mass war games off the coast of Taiwan at the same time. Now, in the age of Trump, the trend of times is that might is always right. Now, he has repeatedly said that Canada should be annexed. He has not ruled out the use of force to take over Greenland for its minerals and riches. He has insisted that sooner or later it will be a part of the U.S. These are NATO countries. Greenland is part of Denmark. Now, his weird threats against his neighbors and allies could have been dismissed as the ramblings of a demented man-child or sarcastic asides from a diplomatic disruptor. But they are no joke. For all his lies and bluster, Trump makes good on his threats and ambitions. Now, his fantasy of turning Gaza into a Gaza-Lagos seaside resort may yet be manifest. His national security strategy says that 4 NATO nations are soon to be overwhelmed by non-Europeans. Aside from being a racist trope from Great Replacement conspiracy theorists, okay, later day Yahtzees, it is also flat out wrong. But he now sees the world in 3 spheres. The Western Hemisphere is his to control. Russia can have Europe and China the rest. Okay, this is the moment when it is now clear that, as Yeats wrote in The Second Coming, the center cannot hold. Mere anarchy is loosed upon the world. And the leaders of the West should heed what happens when a blood-dim tide is loosed. It happens when the best lack all conviction. Now, this is the moment that Europe needs to stand up, but it will stay sitting down as the bloody tide rises around its ankles. Y'all hear that? Oh, do y'all hear that? Okay, so let's go to, this is a whole lot, okay? I find it all so interesting. Let's go to a few clips. Okay, here we go.
Massive breaking news. This photo was just taken. That's Venezuela leader Nicolas Maduro being captured by U.S. forces. At approximately 1:15 a.m. local time this morning, U.S. Special Forces captured both Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro and his wife. They then flew him outside the country to an undisclosed location. While Trump is celebrating this as a victory, it's important to realize that there's several different scenarios that could take place. Let me get into them. According to Article 233 of the Venezuelan Constitution, in the absolute absence of the president, the vice president would take over and call for an election within 30 days. The newly elected president then would serve a 6-year term. Another possible scenario is that the regime completely collapses and the senior figures resign or they flee. This would open things up for Edmundo Gonzalez Urrutia, who ran in 2024 and supports democracy. Or the worst case scenario, a military takeover. Let's just hope for the best, but make no mistake, this has always been about the oil. This is massive breaking news. This photo was just taken. That's Venezuela leader Nicolas Maduro being captured by U.S. forces. At approximately 1:15 a.m.
All right, let's continue, beloveds. Likes up, everyone, please. Don't forget to like and share. Thank you in advance. Yes, goodness, Reddit Bo. Kamala did warn us.
Has ruled Venezuela since the death of his mentor and former president Hugo Chavez in 2013. Economic collapse and widespread shortages under his presidency have led millions to flee the country, many to other nations in Latin America or to the United States. He has become increasingly authoritarian in recent years, tightening his control on institutions like the judiciary, the electoral system, the military, but also cracking down on dissent. The last elections in 2024 were widely dismissed as neither free nor fair by international independent election observers. The US has not recognized Nicolas Maduro as the legitimate president of Venezuela since then. Nicolas Maduro, for his part, has always blamed the US's sanctions on Venezuela, in part for the economic collapse of the country. He also accuses the US of wanting to steal Venezuela's oil and its other vast natural resources. The US says that it has taken President Nicolas Maduro to the US to face charges of terrorism and drug trafficking, among other things, in the US legal system, leaving no one ultimately in charge of the country right now.
So I guess it's a free-for-all because no one is in charge. Well, you know, I would think that the vice president would be in charge in his absence, but for whatever reason, Trump's taken over.
The United States carried out military strikes on targets in Venezuela. U.S. military officials tell CBS News Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro has been captured. President Trump confirmed the operation in a post on Truth Social, adding that Maduro and his wife have been flown out of the country. This morning, Attorney General Pam Bondi announced Maduro and his wife have been indicted in the Southern District of New York on a series of charges, including narco-terrorism conspiracy.
C-STAN says land at one point was super cheap in Venezuela. Still, maybe. Yes, it is surprisingly cheap, okay, in terms of the initial price, purchase price, and the properties listed for tens of thousands of dollars or less, especially for agricultural or beachfront lots on islands like Margarita. Okay, these are all cheap. Yeah, you're absolutely right, beloved. Okay, so with that all being said, thank you for insight into the topic and your contribution to the channel. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings.
In a social media post, she wrote in part, they will soon face the full wrath of American justice on American soil in American courts. The president says he plans to share more details at a press conference later this morning.
CBS News has learned that the U.S. military's elite Delta Force carried out the operation to capture Maduro and his wife. As you noted, the president confirmed on social media that they were flown out of the country and that the U.S. had carried out this large-scale attack, this strike. It was around 2 a.m. local time in Caracas when video of...
Now, what do you all think about them taking the man's wife as well? Okay, what does the wife have to do with it? He's the one that's being corrupt. Okay, why would they capture the man's wife? I've never heard of this happening in the history of the United States. Okay, somebody let me know if you have. How would Trump like it if somebody captured him and Melania? Okay, I have questions.
Explosions began.
Well, knowing Trump, he'd only be worried about himself, not Melania. But let's continue.
Surfacing on social media, U.S. officials tell CBS News the president ordered strikes on sites inside the country, including military facilities. This action overnight follows months of this massive military buildup off the coast of Venezuela involving some 15,000 U.S. troops in the Caribbean and more than 30 deadly strikes on alleged drug boats off the coast. Now, lawmakers, particularly Democrats, have questioned the legality of those strikes and strategy of the administration. The big question on everyone's mind, what happens next? Senator Mike Lee of Utah revealed on social media this morning that he had a conversation with Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who told him he anticipates no further action in Venezuela now that Maduro is in U.S. custody. According to Senator Lee, he says, according to Rubio, Maduro will stand trial on criminal charges in the United States. And in this new post by the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, she said that those charges include conspiracy, narco-terrorism conspiracy, cocaine importation conspiracy, and possession of machine guns and destructive devices, and conspiracy to possess them against the United States. Again, those charges filed in the Southern District of New York.
Overnight, the United States carried out military
warned U.S. citizens in Venezuela to shelter in place this morning. And the U.S. Embassy in Colombia is warning Americans not to travel to Venezuela.
The situation in Venezuela right now could turn very volatile. I have been hearing reports from people who are truly afraid that any expression of support or even sharing the videos of these strikes that they themselves documented could make them a target of the regime. So far, since these strikes took place, we have heard from the Minister of Defense in Venezuela, who
Okay, Black Pearl Ink says it's all about gold and oil, never about rugs. Exactly. And that's what I've been saying for months. That's all it was ever about.
who declared a state of emergency, a state of exception. He said that every military force in Venezuela will be deployed across the land. At the same time, he's calling for people to not fall into anarchy or chaos. The minister of, it's an odd name, but a popular minister of justice, basically the de facto second or third most powerful person in Venezuela, Diosdado Cabello, also spoke out and called for calm. But people in Venezuela who have been under this regime for decades understand that at a moment like this, any expression of support for the actions of the United States could be very dangerous. That's why that message is going out to U.S. or even, or other ally citizens in the country to be very careful. I have interviewed people very recently who are allied and supportive of the regime, and they say we are willing to fight. We're willing to give up our lives if we have to support this regime. There may be an expectation that because there is an opposition that won an election last year, according to the voter tallies that they presented, to the evidence that they presented, and have been acknowledged by the international community as the legitimate government of Venezuela, that doesn't mean that this will be an easy transition. There are armed groups, there are armed guerrillas, and the government of Colombia, I spoke yesterday with the Minister of Defense of Colombia, which is, borders Venezuela. The government of Colombia is deploying their military to the border to both deal with any possible migration crisis that could emerge now after what happened last night because of the bombings or the taking of Maduro, or because they fear that those armed group, the armed guerrillas, in particular the ELN from Colombia, which has been historically allied with forces in Venezuela, could retaliate. So it's a very dynamic situation. The opposition has not wanted to say anything. They have not responded to my request for comment yet. I assume they're waiting to hear from President Trump.
This is all going to get real ugly, beloveds. Okay, it is all going to get real ugly. I wonder what China and Russia are saying right about now, because they're both allies to Venezuela.
Do you know how terrified every other world leader will be right now seeing the U.S. capture the president of Venezuela like that? Right, it was just yesterday that he was giving interviews on TV talking about, how he's willing to negotiate with the U.S. to combat drug trafficking for one of the first times. He goes to sleep that night. Who knows where, but he is was the president. And so it's going to be somewhere hella secure. And then between 12 and 3 a.m., we hear that the U.S.'s Army's Delta Force, which is their top counterterrorism unit, has got boots on the ground in Venezuela. They've managed to snatch him and his wife from his own country, put him on a chopper, and fly him to an undisclosed location. No one knows where he is. We don't know if he's alive. We don't know what this means for Venezuela's future. Is this an act of war? Is this a major breach of international law? Does the U.S. even care about that? It's like, just for other world leaders seeing this, to know that the U.S. military has the ability to carry out something like that is going to send shockwaves to all of them watching. Fuck, bro, do you know how terrified?
Okay, so let's go to what some of these other people are saying. I want to know what some of these world leaders are saying. I'm going to see if I can find some videos of that. But meantime, let's hear what Fox is saying, because I know they're all here for it at Fox News. They love Trump no matter what.
What do you see as the future of Venezuela's oil industry?
Well, I see that we're going to be very strongly involved in it. That's all. I mean, what can I say? We have the greatest oil companies in the world, the biggest, the greatest, and we're going to be very much involved in it. We can't do something like this, and we're prepared. You know, we were prepared to do a second wave. We were all set and this was so lethal. This was so powerful that we didn't have to, but we're prepared. We're out there with an armada like nobody's ever seen before, and we're prepared. And frankly, probably thought we were going to have to do it, but we were prepared for a second wave going in.
What do you see?
President, the leader, Nicolas Maduro, and his wife, they've been flown out of the country. The US President Donald Trump has announced on his social media platform, Truth Social, that the United States military has captured Maduro, the Venezuelan leader, his wife, and that they have been flown out of Venezuela. We can bring up that social media post now on Truth Social. The United States of America has successfully carried out a large-scale strike against Venezuela and its leader, President Nicolas Maduro, who has been, along with his wife, captured and flown out of the country. This operation was done in conjunction with US law enforcement. He says that details are to follow, and there will be a news conference today at 11 a.m. at Mar-a-Lago. That'll be 4 p.m. our time. Thank you for your attention to this matter. President Donald J. Trump, in capitals at the end. The Venezuelan
Trump is doing exactly what the United States did back in, I think it was 1989, okay, with Manuel Noriega. All right. Doing the exact same thing. It's almost like a play-by-play, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. I'll have to research it again just to be sure, but I do believe there are striking similarities.
Breaking news this morning, President Trump says the U.S. carried out large-scale strikes on Venezuela overnight. He says its president, Nicolas Maduro, and his wife, Celia Flores, have been captured and flown out of the country. Attorney General Pam Bondi says both of them have been indicted, and in a social media post says that they will, quote, soon face the full wrath of American justice. The Venezuelan vice president says that she has no idea where Maduro and the first lady are.
Faced with this brutal situation and this brutal attack, we do not know the whereabouts of President Nicolas Maduro and First Lady Celia Flores. We demand immediate proof of life from the government of President Donald Trump, proof of life for President Maduro and the First Lady.
President Trump says that he'll address the nation on the strikes from Mar-a-Lago later this morning. Right now, it's quiet in the capital of Caracas, just hours after the strikes, but earlier, explosions rocked Venezuela.
Okay, so now with that all been said, we're about to be out of here, but let me just tell you all about the capturing of Manuel Noriega in 1989. Okay, it was December 20th of 1989. Okay, so anyway, let's talk about it, because here's the thing. Manuel Noriega was the de facto military ruler of Panama from the 1980s to 1989. Now, although he had previously worked with U.S. intelligence, he later became involved in drug trafficking, okay, specifically with Colombian cartels, money laundering, election fraud, violent repression of political opponents. Now, in 1988, a U.S. federal grand jury indicted him on drug trafficking charges. Now, here's the thing. They actually, I do believe, had proof that Manuel Noriega was doing these things, not just making it all up as they go, like Trump. Okay, so there's a difference. Now, the United States cited several reasons, okay, why they made the moves against him. They said protection of American citizens in Panama, safeguarding the Panama Canal, combating drug trafficking, and restoring democracy after Noriega annulled elections and declared himself the leader, just like Maduro. Okay, Trump's going by the playbook. So the U.S. capture operation, it was called Operation Just Cause. So it was on December the 20th of 1989. Okay, and forces involved about 27,000 U.S. troops. After the invasion, Noriega went into hiding, which I thought that Maduro was also going to do. I'm surprised that they caught him. But, you know, they went in the dark of night. They probably got that man while him and his wife were in the bed asleep, okay? Anyway, he sought refuge in the Vatican Embassy, okay? Apostolic Nunciature in Panama City. Now, the U.S. used psychological operations, famously blasting loud rock music outside the embassy to pressure him. Okay, then he surrendered January the 3rd of 1990. He was arrested by U.S. forces and flown to Miami. He was convicted in U.S. court in 1992 on drug trafficking and racketeering charges, served time in the U.S., and then extradited to France and later Panama. He passed away in 2017 in Panama. Okay, now this is historical significance, mind you, this whole thing with Manuel Noriega, one of the rare cases where the U.S. captured a sitting foreign leader, marked a major assertion of U.S. power in Latin America post-Cold War, and still debated internationally as a violation of sovereignty versus a justified intervention. Okay, so how this compares to the U.S. captures of foreign leaders? Well, you know, the legality under international law, the fact that Trump just does whatever he wants. Hold on. C-STAN says they may do Maduro like they did with that supposed president of Guatemala who was supposedly peddling drugs to the U.S. out some deal with them, then set him and his wife free. They're not going to set them free, honey. That's what they're not going to do. Trump set that other guy free. You talking about the former president of Honduras or Guatemala? Because the one from Honduras, okay, Juan Orlando Hernandez, I believe is his name, that man that was just pardoned by Trump brought over 400 tons of Coca-Cola into the United States. That alone should tell everybody that this was never about illegal substances coming into the U.S. Because if it were that, why would Trump pardon this man, okay, of such nefariousness? All right, I just have several questions. at the end of the day. So with that all being said, I want to thank you, C-STAN, for your insight into the topic and your contribution to the channel, beloved. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. So I'm about to conclude the broadcast. Okay, Terry Hinn says, Congress, come off your break and demand answers from Trump. A hearing is needed. Exactly. Like, what are they going to do about this man? What are they going to do? And, you know, I'm still waiting to see. I'm still anxious to see if Russia or China are going to say anything. Probably not. Definitely not Putin. Okay, Putin and Trump probably are working together, conspiring together to get the oil. Okay, because Russia purchases their oil from Venezuela. And so at the end of the day, like I said, Putin and Trump may be in cahoots for all we know, because Putin surely hasn't said anything about what Trump's been doing to Venezuela. All right, so I'm going to conclude the broadcast. I want to thank you all for tuning in. Please hit that like button, like, share, subscribe. I may be back later. I'm not sure, but if there's breaking news, I will definitely be back. Okay, so with that all being said, Andrea said the whole geriatric hill are demons. Okay, Anita Harrell said, thank you, Queen, for a job well done. Thank you, beloved. I appreciate you. Okay, I hope you all have a blessed rest of your day. All right, each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. I can take my glasses off now. Y'all know I hate wearing them. Okay, with that all being said, do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. Peace.
Yo, Nick, hit him with that flavor. Soul all in my skin, God all in my blood. Kings all in my circle, you touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen, why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunta. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. See a bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all at Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece, this time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood. Kings all in my circle, you touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen, why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood. Kings all in my circle, you touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen, why they hating on me?